Hi there guys, and welcome to my latest Train Sim 2017 video. Today we are back in the Class 91 with the Armstrong Powerhouse enhancement pack. We're on the York-Newcastle route by DP Simulations. This is version 1.3, so it's the latest version, I think it's 1.3. With all the new quick drive blueprints. It's got quite a lot of AI in, hopefully. So fingers crossed it's quite a nice run for a quick drive. I was going to do one of the other scenarios that comes with the AP pack, but I just thought I've had a little run on this route and it looks awesome, so I'm going to do it on here, and there won't be much content of it. I've gone for the East Coast branded 91 with the Jenny Arbor East Coast band on the Mark 4s, just for a bit of a change really. I'm not sure what's the DVT's at. That's still in Jenny Arbor blue with the East Coast band in. Oh, listen to it. It just sounds so good. Okay, so we've not got any schedules as such, but we'll get moving and see how we get on. Have a nice little look at this route. I'll do some talking about the 91. I have the roads I'm going to get DRF. I've got the original Class 91 traction manual with me, which doesn't cover the refurbished 91 sets, but I think we'll still be able to go through a few bits and pieces. And other way, no, I don't want to look like a Nokia 8890. It's summer, we don't need that. Oh, one thing I am going to show you guys is have a listen to this. This is something that I don't think they're listed. I don't remember it working like this in the other one. Listen to that noise. And then it's on. It's something little, but it tickles me. So it takes the time to come off as well. Right, DSD isolated. I'm going to unisolate the DSD. There's I've had a few little conversations with some people on Facebook and stuff, and they've been saying that the DSD should be going off every 60 seconds regardless of control movements. I don't know, it might have happened since the refurb. It doesn't say that in the original traction manual, but it could have happened since refurb. I'm not going to complain. Our ETS is on. We'll see, there's only a fire alarm test button, but if we press F we can get it. Woohoo! So we've done that. Right side departing speed is 30 miles an hour, so we'll set that already, and then we shall give the master key a little turn, reset TMS and AWS, and we'll get going. So the actual starting procedure for an original Class 91, so it was 91.0, not 91.1. So to move his locomotive with a train attached into service, with the DSD pedal depressed, move the master switch to forward and then release, and depress the DSD pedal to silence the vigilance buzzer. Switch on the left hand headlight on. Once the signal has been received, once the start signal has been received, move the automatic air brake controller to initial. With the speed limiter selector, switch at the table A line, so it's set at line speed. Open the power controller with the brake controller at initial, noting that traction power is established before moving the brake controller to the run position. So what the 91 will do is it will let you accept power up to step 3. So 6 6 brake steps, 6 actual application brake steps, apart from 7 which is emergency. So 6 from initial to full, right to full service is 6 steps. That's the Davis Metcalf system. I think it's the same as in the HST basically, or very similar. We can open up the speed controller now, leaving York. So a bit like with the 90, the power controller in the Class 91 doesn't actually dictate the speed. The speed set dictates the speed, and that just basically decides how fast you get there. So I'm really liking the new sort of, he used the word blueprint, I don't really understand it, but the way he's put the AI into the route is awesome. I did a quick run with the DRS 57 yesterday, the day before that didn't film. It even uses my Just Train 60. Which, to be fair, repaint one looks awful, doesn't it, in the original ones? I haven't got any additional repaints for that yet. I should really have a look and see what's around for them. Put some half-decent ones on. Right, we can increase our speed now. Felt like I've just got to 125 from there. So this video is going to be about an hour long, maybe a little touch more, because we are going to be routed through Darlington as well. I just thought it'd be nice to show off that bit of the route. And as every man and their dog will be doing the AP scenarios for now, I thought I'd give us a little blast of this. So I haven't really had much chance to get out to the shed and drive it, but I've been keeping a close eye on Facebook and YouTube and all that jazz. There we go. And it seems to be getting pretty decent reviews all round. There's one or two guys that aren't completely convinced by it, but they seem to have a bit of a gripe about Armstrong Powerhouse in general, so... Which I did find quite strange. I could see this guy's point. What he was basically saying was that the 313 wasn't as detailed and as featureful, if that's a word, as the 205. Which I can kind of understand. My rationale behind that is that I'm pretty sure that the 313 was wagons, and it was basically the sounds and the scenarios published by AP, whereas the 205 was AP. So therefore they would have fitted it with all their really quirky scripting and their brilliance, really. This was the interesting bit. I wanted to see what HST we got. Oh, that's the NMT. Do you know, I didn't even know I had that. Cool. And I think it was the same fella that was not too happy about the aircon sound. He said in the Class 91, but I don't think it is in the 91. I think it's the DVT aircon is loud, and in real life the DVT aircon in the cab is loud. So this is me really just gearing up for my ridiculous 4-hour odd journey up the East Coast. I'm going to have to wait till I'm back from America now because I can't afford the creative rail section between Peterborough and York. I've got everywhere else. And then I will do a full run. Let's knock the DST on the head for a minute. Let's take some nice screens. So I think he was also saying about the container flats, you couldn't get them loaded. So all the container trains we'll see will be empty, if I've got that right. I'm loving seeing the 158s. Just pretend the 185s didn't exist. So if you haven't watched my last video, guys, on this, it says I'm speeding at the moment. I'm not. I'm still only doing 125 mile an hour. But the way Train Simulator actually reads 125, if it goes 125.1, it thinks you're speeding. I was also, there was a guy had uploaded the Class 91 real video, cab ride video from King's Cross to Edinburgh. It was a video 125 production. And I clocked it last night and I didn't have a watch of it. And then I thought, hang on a second, this is going to be blatantly copyrighted. And yeah, I didn't get to watch it fully last night, so I thought I'll have a little blast this morning, try and get a little bit more route knowledge. And it had gone. So I am also going to invest in that. It's a bit dated now. I think it was probably in the very early 2000s, if not late 90s, that was filmed. So it's a bit dated, but still tells me little interesting bits and pieces about different line side things. Won't so much give me any track knowledge, but tell me what junctions what. Make the video a little bit more interesting for you guys. Got 150. I just find this such a pleasure to drive at the moment. So I think I'll quite happily be able to run it up the East Coast main line. Switch DST back on now, sorry about that. 67. So like I was talking about the way the power's put down on the tracks of the 91 earlier, I was just reading this bit about the about wheel slip. So it says if wheel slip takes place, this will be indicated by the appropriate LED on the driving desk displaying red, which is this lovely one here. So it does a weird flashing thing. In nearly all circumstances, this will be self-corrected by the electronic equipment, and no action is required on the part of the driver. So that's pretty telling, because Train Sim makes you like literally drop the power, and sort of otherwise it penalises you for it. But they've got round that, and I Just Trains did it with the CPEX motors on the 60. And I think they've done it with this as well, where even though it says it's wheel slip, it's working it out itself, it's sorting itself out. So it also goes on to say, only when railhead conditions are very poor and when the LED displays a constant red should it be necessary for the driver to reduce tractive effort, so to restore adhesion between the wheel and the rail. If the reduction in tractive effort does not restore adhesion, the driver may apply sand to the rail by means of the sand button on his left-hand display panel. So yeah, basically reduce a bit of power and whack some sand down, just like normal. Quite a cool bit about the speed set here as well, because I know there's a bit of controversy around that. Some people love it, some people hate it. I tend to be a big fan of it. So the locomotive may be driven in the conventional way, i.e. by use of the power controller, but once any series of speed restrictions have been observed, such as those leaving King's Cross, it is recommended that the automatic speed limiting device is to be used. Use of this switch in conjunction with the power controller will ensure that the maximum rate of acceleration is attained, as the electronic control system automatically takes into account the voltage in the overhead line, the condition of the running rails, and the load of the train. In fact, the position of the power controller will determine the rate of acceleration up to the speed that has been selected by the driver. The control system ensures the current values, as displayed by the ammeters on conventional locomotive, are not exceeded, therefore there is no such position. Alright, so basically what that basically saying is the reason it doesn't have ammeters like the 90 and the 86 and the 87 is because this microprocessor control does it itself anyway. As you can see, I had the manual over the keyboard there with the cold fingers. I couldn't feel the keys properly. So there's no such voltage meters in the Class 91, and drivers should not hesitate to use the fully open position of the power controller to achieve maximum acceleration. Once desired speed has been attained, it will automatically be held at that figure, or as close to it as the available tractive effort and braking effort will allow, irrespective of gradient, and no action is required on part of the driver. The speed limiting switch may also be used to reduce the speed of the train in certain circumstances, using the dynamic brakes of the locomotive alone and without the use of the automatic air brake on the train, and in consequence reducing the wear on brake discs and pads. If, for example, the train is running at 110 mph and ahead there is a permanent speed restriction of 100 mph, then if the switch is moved to 100 at a predetermined point prior to the start of the restriction, the control system will reduce the speed to 100 mph and maintain it at that level. Once the last vehicle has cleared the restrictions, switch can be turned to 110 and accelerate back to 110. This will be achieved in the shortest possible time. The points at which the switch will need to be reset to the lower speed will be found by experience. And then it's got a big note. It must be remembered that only the locomotive's dynamic brake will be utilised by the speed limiting device, not the train brakes. Thus, the braking performance will depend on heavily on the weight of the train being hauled. If in doubt, the driver should use his automatic brake controller as normal. And then it even says, an even bigger writing below it, for large speed restrictions, the driver must use his auto brake controller to utilise the full braking effect of the locomotive and train. So there you go. So it's not a failure thing either, so you can still use, if the speed set failed, it can still stay in service. I went through the braking in the last video a little bit more. Here's a nice little interesting bit, because I've had a couple of comments about neutral sections, and another guy saying that they weren't modelled. They are actually modelled on this. If I was to like say do a scenario on this route, I could put down. I'm talking kind of not from experience here, because I'm no scenario builder. But you can put down scenario markers that will act as neutral sections, so you can work out where the neutral sections were on the line, put these markers down, and they will act as neutral sections. Routes like the West Coast Main Line over Shap have it already built in. So if I was running this up the West Coast Main Line over Shap route, I would have to adhere to the neutral sections. And here is how you would have driven the original Class 91-0, not the 91-1, but I'm sure it's probably a very similar technique. So automatic power control and driving technique through neutral sections. The instructions contained between BR 33056-102 apply, subject to the following amendments. Since the locomotive is thyristor controlled, there is no need to close the power controller to run a tap changer down on a conventional locomotive when transversing the neutral section. So, without having BR 33056 section 102, I couldn't tell you what the rest of it was, so that's helpful. But basically I kind of know what it's saying. With tap changers, you would have had to have started running the tap changer down way before you got to that neutral section, but with these you just have to knock the controller back and it's instantly not asking for any power, so you can go through the neutral section without any worries. Go back to the start and read you a few bits and pieces out of it as well. These aren't the easiest things to read because they're written pretty strangely, but for the purpose of drivers, so you're going to get used to them reading them. And I'm alright reading them in my head, I can get through them quite quickly, but I've discovered doing these videos that when I have to read it out, it doesn't come out as clearly. Something's going a little bit weird there with the track. So I quite like looking through this, because on the original one, I remember, I think I said it in one of the other 91 videos, that the Class 91s were originally thought to be doing 140 up the East Coast main line, and they decided that they would be able to fit tilt to them at some time. So they do have things like tilt inverters, tilt isolation. They don't now. I think when they did it was called Project 2000 or something rubbish like that. The heavy general overhaul on the 91s in the late 90s and early noughties. They removed a lot of the tilt gear, just I'm sure for reliability. So there even was a layout of indicator panel on tilt inverter cubicle. Oh, I'm actually properly speeding there. Do apologise, guys, I was reading. Only to find nice things for you, though. I've also just found a book called Train Doctor that has quite an in-depth section on the heavy overhaul. Oh, it's darlings, it's will start breaking now anyway. Probably brakes way too early as well. It's got quite a bit of frame rate lag there. Well, it's just loading in that last tile. I'm running this on an SSD, but I think I do have my graphics settings up just a little bit too high for my computer. Quite like Darlington Station. There is no stop boards on this, but I'm going by where I think it stops when I've been in there. Perfect. For some reason it won't let me open the doors, but I'm still going to pretend to stop here. Oh, it has let me open the doors, just way back here. Oh, quick! Remember what he said? Drivers shouldn't be afraid to use the fully open position on the power controller. See, I was saying about the heavy general overhaul book, wasn't I? And it was actually when, just having a quick read on the little preview bit there, it's 91023 was involved in both the Hatfield disaster and the Great Het crash, also known as Selby. So when it came out of its heavy general overhaul, it became 91132 to try and get rid of the superstition around it. Yeah, 125. So I think, if I remember rightly, this is the stretch where he's on this route. This is a stretch where he's done a little bit more work between Darlington and Newcastle. So the bit before is a little bit less sparse. He's done a lot more of the foliage, vegetation and stuff, and quite a lot of the line side buildings. So I was sitting thinking, I was lying in the bath the other day and I was thinking about all the different things that we can now do with this, and then I just kept thinking about what will be still missing from the East Coast Main Line. And yes, we're missing a half decent 317. We're also missing, especially when we're in the GNR era, is a Eurostar and the Leeds extension. So I mean, I know everybody keeps bleating on about, oh well, the Channel Tunnel route wouldn't be much fun sitting for 20 minutes in a tunnel and it's too long to do to Paris. Well, just get the Leeds extension. Just somebody build that, and then we'd have a legitimate use for the TGV, the Eurostar. And I'd be a happy man. 318 wise, there is the freeware version, which is still bloody good. Can't really fault it. It even has a cab. I haven't played it for ages. I used to play it up and down the Creston route back in the day. What's the time? I'm at 95. I'm to really remind myself that it's on the different keys, the speed set now. Keep pressing Y and setting the DRA off. Turning the DRA on. So what's a bit disappointing is back here, there should be, on this bulkhead here, there should be loads of different switches, all the isolation switches and everything like that, plus the door through to the cab, the engine room. Which is why I guess you couldn't, they stopped you getting all the way around before AP put the change it so you couldn't actually look all the way around. So there's people going on about the sounds in the Mark IVs as well, saying that they were too loud. Being someone who has spent an awful long time sitting in a Mark IV, this sounds alright, apart from when you go under tunnels like that, or bridges. But yeah, it sounds alright to me. That sort of whine you hear in the background, that's what you hear. Yeah. Well, yeah. No problems with that whatsoever from me. Yeah, I like this route. I was also, I won't lie, quite enjoyed sitting here. I just wish I could look out a bit more. And I very rarely go for passenger views. Very rarely. I always like to have a look and see if they're there, but I don't sit in them. Yeah, I know I'm biased because it's my favourite train and everything, but it is very well done. 19 and a bit miles to Newcastle. Super elevation is what's missing, but because it uses the old Newcastle to York route. Do you know, saying that, I'm sure I read somewhere that, hang on, the iPad's out. Just still coming up to another speed restriction, so I've seen that before. So there's also the Birmingham Cross City route, which I haven't done, which I might have to get. Ah, I'm having a West Coast Mainline Trent Valley. Oh, it's version 1.4, sorry. So it's got upgrades to custom quick drive system, to include the new sections featuring over 60 custom blueprints. Add various new models. We've got an 80 coming up. Various new models at some various stages of completion. These include several new structures between York and East Garforth, and new platforms for Northallerton, which are incomplete as the areas. Flashing yellow, yeah. There's incomplete stimming works and other assets, including new trackside fencing and general clutter. The East Coast Mainline section is currently undergoing a complete overhaul to remove the original ECML 1979 foliage and make the trackside more detailed. This is currently complete between Heaton Depot and Durham. Okay. So after we've been through Durham, I'm going to stop at Durham because I like Durham. One of my favourite stations on the East Coast Main Line. So no, nothing about super elevation. I think that is just something you can't do with older routes. Fast. Look, Durham Cathedral's there. It looks like Durham. I really like it. Oh, I'm not going to make Durham. That's a lie. I'm going far too fast to make Durham. So we should have used the avoider. There was me accelerating when I shouldn't be. Ah, do you know I was doing well there? I enjoyed that as well. Speed here is going to be about 80 in it. Sorry about that. See, never goes perfectly, does it? So I'm also going to have a little look on, well, maybe later on today, after work this afternoon, but have a little look at UK Train Sim and see what scenarios they've got. for this route as well. I'm hoping somebody's banged a couple out for the 91 pack. I know there is a couple of scenarios that do the whole route, so the whole East Coast main line. So it's like scenarios for 3 different routes, 4 different routes. What have we got it in now? So we've got London to Peterborough, Peterborough to York, York to Newcastle, Newcastle Edinburgh, some 4 stretches. And then of course if you want to go further on, you can go up the Just Trains, Scottish East Coast main line. Which I've watched a few videos of but haven't had myself. So yeah, you can tell this bit of the route's better than the others. It's even got like the limit clearance signs and everything. Cable trough covers. You do miss super elevation. Sorry guys, it'll be screenshot time I think. Oh, the band's still moving, pause. That's pretty cool. That just looked fun as well. got up north faster than I did. Fine yard, all over to our left. Got masses in there, which I'm not pleased about. My frame rates won't handle it. So down this line here, you've actually got the low fail mail terminal, which is modelled. Oh, it's nice to have the MTU sound pack reinstalled. I've got to take some obligatory screenshots over here. Oh, silly boy. Sorry about this, I'm trying to be a bit arty-farty. It's not really working. So I'll try and get all of the Newcastle bridges in there. I don't know which one I'm going to use. So this doesn't really give us, I'm pretty sure with the quick drive we just get told that's the end of the scenario when we stop. Did I just clock what I think I clocked? Was there a 67? Yes, one of the Royal 67s, but it's 67. Well done, the man who did this route, because it's nice to see the Thunderbirds sitting about. Keep pressing Q instead of E for some reason. So used to it in this 91. I would like to see, I know it doesn't really use the enhancement pack and I'd have to use the Josh Chain 67, but doing a couple of drags would be quite cool, I reckon. Even doing some 90s ones with some Intercity Swallow and Res livery. So that's another quick blast for the 91. I'm really impressed with it, I won't lie, very impressed with it, and really impressed with this route as well, really impressed with it. So thanks ever much for watching, and we'll do another video on the 91 soon. I might try and do a south, coming down south the East Coast main line just to get the DVT in, but as always, like, comment and subscribe. Anything else you want to see or any particular content you'd like to see me do, feel free to leave it in a comment and I'll see what I can do for you. So thanks ever so much guys, and see you next time.